Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as Man United prepare to make a shock late deal in the transfer window. Apparently there's panic in the boardroom that if they don't sign a player in January, they might jeopardise Champions League football. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? We'll delve into that. Someone in the chat just said Paul Scholes is coming out of retirement. Classic banter. Love that. We'll also be talking about summer activities as well. There's a bit of an update on Elliot Anderson and why he will leave it late in the summer transfer window and how that could impact Manchester United as well. Also talk about the left wing. It's a Saturday, it's a Friday. It's not. It's an 8 o'clock show. So it's your show to talk about as well. But lots to get into tonight. Could it be Ruben Neves? Well, we'll talk about it. We'll go through it. And apparently Wilcox and Berrada are feeling very smug because they always thought this was a top 4 team anyway. Knobheads. Knobheads. We'll get into that as well. Lots to get into. Okay, but before we do that, I've got my Boohoo Man hoodie on. I love it. You can get it in lots of different colours. Fantastic. Nice to chill out in it. And you could have yours as well. And lots of other things, courtesy of Boohoo Man. Scan the QR code or go through the link in the description. And you can get a 10% discount with the code Goldbridge. So if they've got 40% on the site, you put Goldbridge in, you get an extra 10% off. That's how it works. So if you fancy getting something warm and stylish for the winter season, or you're prepping for your holidays in the summer, click the link in the description or scan the QR code, get it delivered to your door with Boohoo Man. I've got a lovely Boohoo Man coat as well, but I just don't want to wear a coat on stream, but maybe I'll wear it next time just to show you loads of stuff you can get. And because it's Boohoo Man and you can get loads of fantastic clothing like this, I mean, this is a good hoodie. It's got a lovely emblem on it. I mean, I like hoodies and I won't wear rubbish, and I like this hoodie, so love it. But can you guess the Boohoo Man Man United player from these little tips? I was born on the 8th of December 1963. Bloody hell. I began my it's actually not that far off my, well it is, yeah. I began my professional career in 81 with Motherwell and I moved to Celtic in 83. I joined Man United in 87, becoming one of Sir Alex Ferguson's earliest and most important signings. I know who it is. In my first season for United, I scored 24 goals, becoming the first United player to score more than 20 goals in a single season since George Best. My notable contributions include adapting from striker to attacking midfielder, overall making 355 appearances, scoring 88 goals and winning 8 major trophies, including 4 Premier League titles. I didn't realise he won 4 Premier League titles. I didn't realise he won 4 Premier League titles, to be fair. 2 FA Cups, 1 League Cup and the 1991 Cup Winners' Cup. At the end of the 97-98 season, I returned to Motherwell. See, I didn't realise he stayed at United for that long in the 90s. It is, of course, Brian McClare. Well done if you got it. Well done in the chat. Big thank you to Boohoo Man. Don't forget they're supporting the show today. Check out boohooman.com or scan the QR code. Get yourself some lovely clobber like this. And do use the code Goldbridge and get 10% off. Fantastic. Thank you so much to Boohoo Man. And welcome to Tony B, a new member of the club. He's joined the members club. He's got a badge in the chat. Well done. Thank you, Tony B. Right, let's get into some of the news. Thank you to Boohoo Man. The news tonight that we're going to start off with is that, and it's come out from the Daily Mail, so it could be true. Hopefully it is. Manchester United are panicking about the upcoming challenge for the Champions League and are thinking that there may well be some activity in the final week. So the Mail says, the major sticking point is that the hierarchy at United have been working on the proviso that major surgery will be undertaken on the midfield in the summer. And guess the 3 names: Anderson, Baleba and Wharton. They may as well be the 3 bears. Like they're just so popularist now. They're the 3 primary targets. But sources at United are increasingly twitchy about the prospect of not making a move and it going to cost them the Champions League, a scenario that nobody behind the scenes is willing to contemplate right now. And while all the noises at Old Trafford are that things could be very quiet in the final week of the window, nobody wants to go as far as ruling anything out. As one source put it, a stopgap midfielder on loan until the summer could be something that moves very, very late. Well, look, it's almost like I told you so, isn't it? And I feel that a little bit on Carrick as well. Also, we've been looking at this Rennes striker. Remind me about that. There's a lot to go through tonight. But look, let's just deal with that first because, I mean, I just need to sort of try and stay a little bit calm on this because there is a real... Look, it says Man United sources are growing uneasy about failing to act and risking your Champions League qualification. They might do something stopgap. But I do feel like you're almost going and saying, well, we've all been saying this for a very long time, haven't we? We have. We've all been saying this for a very long time. And why is it in the last week of the transfer window, we're now going, oh, we're a bit nervous that if we don't sign somebody, we might miss out on Champions League football. I mean, people were literally talking about it in December when Amrin was here. Because remember, when Amrin was here, we were always knocking on Champions League door, weren't we? We were always knocking on it. We were always 2 or 3 points off it. All right, we fluffed our lines, but we were always very close to the Champions League. So I remember you and I and you talking about how we've got to buy somebody in January. We're so close to the Champions League. That could be the difference between not getting the Champions League and getting it. So we knew this in November. We knew this in December. We knew it on January the 1st. And here we are on January the 27th with sources from the club saying they're getting a bit twitchy because they fear that if they don't do something in the window, they might miss out on the Champions League. No shit, Sherlock. It's bloody obvious. I mean, if I was Sir Jim Radcliffe, I'd be like, what are you doing? What's your bloody job? You're my director of football and my CEO and you're going, we're getting a bit twitchy. Did you not figure this out 2 months ago? So bloody damn right, go and get a stopgap midfielder. I mean, at the end of the day, if you've got a pipe that's leaking and you're not going to repair the pipe until the summer, is it worth putting a plaster on the pipe to stop it leaking? Bloody damn right it is. Damn right. It's better than doing nothing. I mean, look, I want something better than a little plaster, but get the bloody plaster out and seal the pipe. Put your bloody finger over it if you have to. Seal the pipe. Absolutely. So, look, the exciting thing is potentially are they going to do something? I still think Ndiaye will be the player that they go for. I think the source around that is very strong, and I think that they will do it. But it's incredible how this football club is run at times, that here we are in the last week of the window and they're thinking, ooh, we might need to buy something. We might need to do something. I mean, look, there is a part of me thinks that we might get lucky anyway. I mean, this is the one that was caught me out. Same article in the Mail. Carrick, along with his backroom staff, have brought a fresh energy to a group that senior figures such as Jason Wilcox and Omar Berrada have long insisted is good enough to get in the top 4 without reinforcement. You absolute twats! You absolute bloody prats! They should be sacked for that. If this is true, they should be sacked for this statement. Jason Wilcox and Omar Berrada have long insisted this squad is good enough to get into the top 4. Well, scrub me down and call me a potato. What are you talking about? What? I don't know why I did the spin there. What are you bloody talking about? Wilcox and Berrada have long insisted that this squad is good enough to get top 4 without reinforcements. That's why you're shit at your job, lads. That's why you are shit at your job. You can't sit there all smug going, well, I told you so. I told you so. I told you. I've told everybody this squad's good enough for top 4 without reinforcements. I've been saying it for ages. You jammy bastards. You really are jammy. Like, there is nothing about your knowledge and structure and strategy that has led to United getting top 4. If Man United, as they are good enough for top 4, why is it every single one of you and me said 5th place would be superb this season? Everybody. Nobody put United in the top 4. Nobody did. So you can't sit there going wonderful Wilcox and Berrada Bonanza because they envisage top 4 and they're right. Bullshit. This is the only season in the entirety of supporting Man United in the Premier League that I've never put us in the top 4. And I'm optimistic. I was like, you know, I think we'll do better than 15th. But I said between 5th and 10th. And I've not met no United fan that said we're a top 4 team, apart from Wilcox and Berrada, who must be on commission for not spending money on midfielders. Because how they can sit there and go with their mouths, how reports can say that they think that this squad's good enough for top 4 without reinforcements, right? And now, look, there'll be somebody in the chat going, well, hold on a minute, Mark. To be fair, we are in 4th place. And look at the run-in, we could get top 4. Come on. Tell me now, in 2 sentences, whether we're in the top 4 because Wilcox and Berrada were right, or whether we're in the top 4 because everybody else is unprecedentedly shit. I mean, nobody at the start of the season thought Liverpool were going to fall off this much. The only reason we're in the top 4 is because Liverpool have completely and utterly disintegrated. Nobody was calling that. In fact, as much as I'd like to say, as much as I want to say I didn't do it, and I didn't do it, most people had Liverpool winning the league. Most people had Liverpool winning the league. They're now in 6th place. That is why we have an opportunity for top 4. So unless Wilcox and Berrada have got a crystal ball and they sat there in August saying, well, Liverpool may be the champions of England and they've spent £500 million, but they're going to implode and open the door and we're going to walk through it. Bullshit. They are so lucky we're in the top 4. It's got nothing to do with their strategic plan and it's got nothing to do with this squad being good enough for top 4. It ain't. It's just for some reason, Liverpool have completely fell off a cliff and it's opened up the space for us. And people will say we're in 4th. I don't actually think we will finish in 4th. I think Chelsea will take 4th and we'll get 5th. And then we'll take 5th because Liverpool fucked up, which is fine. But it's not strategic. That's not strategic. And also, it completely and utterly demeans what Michael Carrick's done in the last 2 games. Because nobody predicted we were going to take 6 points out of Arsenal and Man City either. So this has got nothing to do with Wilcox and Berrada looking at the squad and going, I told you so. I told you this was a top 4 team. It's like Bungle and bloody George, isn't it? I told you, Jason. I told you that this team was good enough for top 4. Oh, Zippy, what are you talking about? Well, I did. I told you. I said that this team was good enough for top 4, and I'm right. Yeah, bullshit. Absolute nonsense. If we get top 4, it'll be because Liverpool imploded and Michael Carrick has done a wonder. Nothing to do. And he'll be doing it with an arm tied behind his back as well. Oh, it makes me so angry. It does. But they are still saying that even before Amrin was removed, their plans have always been on the summer, where there'll be greater scope to make wholesale changes. So look, the interesting thing is, you roll that dice, don't you? You roll that dice, you take that risk. And ultimately, that's where we are. They either do what must be done and bring in a midfielder to cover us off for the rest of the season, or you take that risk and you don't do it, and if it goes wrong, it's on you. They might get lucky, they might not. Mark, don't forget we're in top 4 and we're not in any other competitions. Meanwhile, all the other clubs are fighting in a European competition, says him. Yes. And if anything, it had everything to do with Amrim and his groundwork, says Smoggy. Nobody put Villa in the top 4 either, says Rory S3OR. Yeah, but I don't necessarily buy into that. Aston Villa were in the Champions League a couple of years ago, and they've consistently put themselves in and around the top 6. So I don't think you can really say that Villa have caused a shock in the top 4. I don't really think you can. I think what Villa have done is taken advantage of a shit season. You'd expect Villa to be in and around where they are. Newcastle, I mean, you could say Newcastle have fell off as well. I mean, I'm not going to say Spurs because they're shit. Even the most obvious pundits didn't put us in the top 4, and yet Berrada and Wilcox know better, says Emily Derry, and are still twitching about a stopgap midfielder. Which is it? More spin than a fairground, says Emily. And our board have Mike says, our board have realistic expectations of a potato. If they had a clue, they'd sack themselves. With these clowns, we would sign Desperate Dan. And why wait? Just sign Belabor now. Let's settle him in, says Matt Casey. And Mark, you have to be honest, says Hyans. Wilcox and Berrada have got it right, saying we're good enough for top 4. No. I'm not going back over it, mate. If you're too thick to listen to the last 10 minutes, nobody put us in the top 4. This is not a top 4 squad. There are reasons why it's happened. One of them is Michael Carrick pulling off a bloody worldie in the last 2 games and taking 6 points from Arsenal and Man City, which not many people will do. Forget Bale. Dorgu's the next Valencia in reverse, says Dylan. We only have one plan. Other clubs have a plan A, B and C and D. Clubs plan for every scenario. We plan for the profit ledger, that's all, says Irfan. And with Dorgu injury, why not take Adama for 2 million, says S Folds. I'd rather Ndidi than nobody as of now. Yeah, I agree, Sakin. I completely agree. Did you see the rumours on the striker? Yes, I'm going to talk about that, Jacob. Steph Nunn, welcome to the Members Club. You're absolutely fantastic. And that Stone Roses jersey video is class, can't lie, says Mario. Not watched it. Biggest change has been OOP. Holland, key to that. Why were you so harsh on him when he got appointed, says Rory. Mate, I'm sorry, right? My issue with Steve Holland is that he's Southgate's assistant for 10 years. We have parked the bus against Arsenal and Man City and counted 2 games, and suddenly people are acting like Steve Holland is the best assistant coach in the world. Let's see where we are in a year's time with Steve Holland, and then we'll talk. Because I ain't doing none of this glow-up 10-game bullshit. We've got the best assistant coach in the world. They're interim. It's get round the campfire and sing songs. Happy, happy, everybody join in. That's what an interim does. When you're a permanent manager, you've got to exclude people from the campfire and not give them a marshmallow. And then that upsets their mates. And then suddenly the job becomes difficult. Being an interim is a piece of piss compared to being a permanent manager. If you want to go down that road and have that chat, Rory, we can do. But why pop a positive balloon? Is it Carrick as player manager, says Chase the... Well, Michael Carrick could probably still do a decent job in the midfield, to be fair. Hi, Mark. New signing is Hong Kong Fooey. He's number 1 super guy. This is Mike JW. Okay, I want to talk about Anderson here. Now, this was something I wanted to bring in as well. Keep the comments coming in. Lots of good ones coming in. A couple of crap ones, but, you know, that's a part of democracy, isn't it? This was quite interesting about Elliot Anderson. So, Elliot Anderson, this is in the Mail as well. Elliot Anderson is Manchester United's absolutely super-duper top priority. But the same is being said over at Manchester City. And the level of positivity or negativity on the likelihood of that potential move depends on who you ask. The permanent head coach at both clubs is understood to be a major factor for Anderson, and he's keen to wait until after the World Cup to decide his future. Now, this is interesting because it's logical as well. If Manchester City want to sign Elliot Anderson, it's a great place to go. Guéhi, Semenyo, Haaland, Foden, so many good players. Such a successful team over the last decade. Good wages, good prospects. Manchester City, best manager in the Premier League. What an opportunity. Manchester United won't pay the same wages. It's Manchester United. Who's the coach? Where are they going to be in a year? If they give it to Carrick, will it last? If they give it to someone else, how long will they last? So look, you could say the favour tips towards Man City. However, if Pep Guardiola leaves, which I think he will do, well, will Man City be as good without Pep Guardiola? That could balance it back towards us. But the interesting thing is here, in the context of next season, and I look at Newcastle, oh, we qualified for the Champions League and we won the Carabao Cup. Yeah. You're not going to win the Champions League and you're not going to get back into it this year. So it's another year in the Europa if you're lucky. That could happen to us next season if we don't kick on. I would say if we get Champions League football this summer, we've got away with it. When in the context of the season, we've got away with it. There's been, as I said, Liverpool imploding, the doors opened up and we've walked in, fair play. But it's not been a vintage United season, has it? It's been a bit of a strange season. And if we take advantage of that and get Champions League football, well done. But next season, we need to be better. We need to be more consistent. We've got more games. We're playing in more tournaments. We need a bigger squad. We need better players. To do that, we need to be very active in the transfer window very, very quickly. So does Elliot Anderson start to concern you a little bit? He has every right to wait until after the World Cup. It's going to be the biggest World Cup in most people's career. It's going to be a big tournament for him. He needs to focus on that. So maybe he goes, look, until after the World Cup, I'm not going to make my mind up. Now, if he makes his mind up for Man United in late July, happy days. But do we wait for that before we do any other business? Or if he decides to go to Man City in late July, have we missed the boat on other people? What I'm saying is, how late in the window are we going to be doing big business? And how significantly is that going to impact his next season? I'm not saying there's anything we can do about it. You've got to buy a lottery ticket to win the lottery. However, that's going to be quite late in the window, isn't it? A couple of shows ago, you mentioned that United lost its place in the financial list. Without success on the pitch, younger generation won't support United, which will also have a knock-on effect on the list, says Irfan. It could do, but, you know, I do think communities like this make a big difference. Well, in fact, I know they do make a big difference in the next generation of fans. Like, I don't want to blow our own trumpet here, but we are the biggest and the best community in the world for fans, and it's Man United. So I do think we'll always attract fans. I don't think we're going to keep attracting players who want to sign for United, to be honest. But we'll always have a big fan base. We always will. There's a lot of young Man United fans out there. Dorgu's injury is really damaging, says Matthew. And not just losing his attacking threat, but also his and Ahmad's work rate and defensive support. No coincidence, Delo and Shaw shone in the last 2 games. Yeah, I mean, look, we caught the Dorgu news at the end of the show on the morning show. I don't know what to say about Dorgu. I mean, like, I've had a few hours to think about it. It's devastating. It's not even the fact that we can't cover him off. It's not that. It's more... I always worry about a young player when they get injuries and they're out for 3 months when they're playing well. Because momentum and form is a tap that's not always easy to turn on. And I think he's had such a challenging 12 months at Man United. I mean, look, some of you called him shit. I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying that's part of the challenge, isn't it? There was some people that were going, Dorgu's a load of shit, get out of this club and all that bollocks. They're not saying that now. And that's good. But it just shows you the roller coaster he's been through over the last 12 months. I think he'd finally got to a point where everybody in the fan base was going, we've got a really good player here, a really exciting player here. And I think he was in such confidence and such rhythm that I think he was going to be a big player for us in the next 2 months and probably for Denmark in the playoffs. So I feel like we've been robbed of Dorgu over the next couple of months. And obviously there's no reason why he can't come back, but you can't deny that it's a loss. And I also think that he's really good on corners. He wins a lot of corners. His work rate, as you say, but there's injuries happen, Matthew. I'm sure we could think of 4 or 5 players we'd rather have got injured, but that's not the way it works. Have you seen Ndiaye's injury record? It's horrific, says Zach. Yeah, hamstrings like cheese strings. Jamie says, Mark, it would have been my dad's 59th birthday today. We lost him in April. I was only 18 and the United stand helped me through the darkest time. Well, Jamie, that's a tragedy. And I'm very sad to hear that. But I'm very, very glad that you're part of this community and you feel that. So thoughts for you, Jamie, and your family. Class of 99 says, with right manager and full squad, we are a top 4 team. Bollocks. Bullshit. Did you say that in August, class of 99? Come on. Does anyone remember class of 99 in August doing a super chat like he is now saying we're a top 4 team? It's always great being a genius in hindsight, isn't it? You're talking absolutely out your arse and your breath stinks. Is it me or how are we now low on fullbacks as well, says Lee? Well, we've got Mazraoui, Delo and Shaw. That's it. Lee Galdart's been a member for 39 months. Is it me? Or you've done that one. Dylan McCallion, welcome to Members Club. Thank you very much. Sterling on loan until the summer, says Jason Wilcox. Don't you bloody well dare. Don't you dare. No way. Don't want Sterling anywhere. No. There are deals that you can do that are bad. Like I said to somebody today, you might not want Carrick, but would you rather have Southgate? And they went, give it to Carrick. I went, exactly. Because I was actually defending Carrick. They were going, I don't want Carrick under any circumstances. I went, all right, Roy, calm the fuck down. You're getting angry again. No, it wasn't. They weren't called Roy. But I said they didn't want Carrick under any circumstances. And I said, look, I'm not actually in that position. I'm just scared of giving it to Carrick. And I want to wait till the end of the season. I want to interview other people and make a decision then. But look, this board's incompetent. Steve Holland did work with Southgate for 10 years. What if they don't want Carrick, but they want Steve Holland and they need a coach to work with Steve Holland? Well, you could see the blood draining from their face. They were like, give it to Carrick. I went, nah, you see. It's not, it's like your man said there about Sterling. There's always a bad scenario. Mojo's just given us a super chat, a super sticker. Well done. Well, thank you. Not well done. Jenna says, honestly, Man United is a perfect business case to show how commercial-orientated leadership does not translate over to on-field success. They have no clue about football. RJS Games says, my Premier League predictions were Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea and United in 5th. So I made this prediction on the 15th of August, Carrick at the wheel. Mark, don't forget we're in the top 4 and we're not in any other competitions. I've done that one from him as well. Smoggy Monster says, if anything, it had everything. Done that one as well. Okay, I'm just catching up on some super chats before we move on to the next topic. Somebody just said, what about Cole Palmer? Can someone get them some help in the chat? My boss had a go at me today and now you, says Rory. Rory. It's not personal. In fact, you should be feeling happy because there'll be loads of people on your side. I don't get even 50% of people on my side when I argue with someone. You're all getting carried away, says Goldio. Top 4's not guaranteed. Could still bottle it. A few injuries away from chaos, and we won't play like this every week. But I hope we do. But we still got to go to Chelsea. We still got to go to Bournemouth. We still got to go to Newcastle. We still got to go to Everton. Brighton. There are some tough games we've got to go and do. Hopefully we'll keep winning. Insane that our board are not signing anyone, says Andre. It's insane how much they want to gamble Champions League. Absolutely no ambition. Well, that's what they're doing. It's a gamble, isn't it? I think it might pay off. That's my point. That's my point, right? This is not strategic. This is not what you should be doing when you're running a football club. Manchester United shouldn't be going, let's roll the dice. Because if we get Champions League football, I'm not going to sit here and go, well done Wilcox, well done Berrada. I'm going to go, you absolute prats. You shouldn't be rolling the dice and going like that. You should be getting the players in so that we don't need to roll the dice. I'll guarantee you now, if Man United bought a midfielder in January, we will get top 4. It's a simple equation. If we don't buy anybody in the midfield in January, then we're rolling the dice. And you can't sit there and go, I told you so, because that's not how it works. We should go for Almala for left wing in the summer. Cologne won't want much. We definitely should be going for Almala at Cologne. Brilliant player. Andy Drew. Anderson follows City on Instagram. That's telling, says Shank. And I do think it's a false position we're in. We aren't fourth on merit, says Mike. It's because everyone else is dropping points, which I'm not complaining about. Well, I disagree with you on that, Mike. I think we're in 4th place because Liverpool and a couple of other teams have been shite. But you are where you deserve to be in any given season. So there might be mitigating circumstances and reasons, but we are the 4th best team. You've got to say that. Dorgu injury is a loss. Can Bruno help, says John? I'm sure he will. Kyle, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Right, okay, there's still a few bits I wanted to go through today as well. 15,000 watching. Thank you so much. Now, Manchester United, apparently, this is coming in from Ed Aarons in The Guardian. Manchester United are looking at Mohamed Kader Mete, or Mete. He plays for Rennes as a striker. He's 18 years of age, and apparently United are looking to spend up to 30 million euros on him. 6'4", 18 years of age. He's played 16 games for Rennes and he's got 3 goals. So it's another prospect, but it is worth mentioning that United might make that move, and maybe they'll make that move this week. I don't know, but it's another young player that I presume Favel has said Man United should be going for. You know my thoughts on this. I think it's a mistake. CTW's got him on career mode. I mean, is he not just Obi as well? Obi's 18 and 6'4". I mean, like, how many young, big strikers do we actually need? So I think that, look, he's obviously, I don't know much about him. He could be the next, I'm trying to think of he could be the next Erling Haaland. Who knows? However, is that the sort of place that we should be spending money on? A prospect who's scored a couple of goals in 16 games for Rennes and is going to cost us 30 million euros. I do think we have an obsession. It's a Chelsea model. You know what you do? You buy them, you loan them, they score a shitload of goals for Cardiff, and then you sell them for profit. I'm sort of figured the plan out on these. They're not actually meant to be first team players. You buy them, you loan them, they do well, and then you sell them. I think we're going to start seeing that happen a lot, because I don't really see how that helps Man United massively at the moment. But look, that was in the news today as well. Also quite interesting, just sticking with young players as well. This was in the same article that we've been talking about with the Mail. There appears to be limited willingness at this stage to extend Harry Maguire's contract. Carrick is a fan, but senior United figures are keen to see next season's minutes go to Yoro and Heaven. 2 young players that United believe will be the bedrock of the back line for years to come. Now, do you agree with that? I want to know. I think it's actually not a bad... Stuff comes out the club and we go, idiot, moron, you don't know what you're doing. But occasionally you get something coming out and you go, well, I hope that one is actually true because it's actually quite logical. Like Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. I'm trying to think what he'd be if he wasn't a footballer. Oh, Harry Maguire. He'd be a farmer, wouldn't he? Oh, there was a hell of a storm last night down at Harry Maguire's. Yeah, the river overflowed and cows were rolling down into the village. And Harry was there in his tractor. Trying to get him out, he was. Old Harry Maguire. Anyway, Harry Maguire is 32. He'll be 33 in March. So he's had quite a few injuries recently. Look, I think the problem Man United have got, and I saw a story today about, and I think it was bullshit, but it was talk about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes. I haven't heard that name in ages. No, Bruno would not be a farmer. Bruno Fernandes apparently would stay at Man United if he was given 400 grand a week. Wow. And they say nurses have got it hard. And I was saying, well, this is probably the problem with Maguire as well. Maguire will want to stay at United, but he's on 180, 90 grand a week. And next season, he's going to have an even further reduced role. So I would say that United, maybe Maguire wants 150 grand a week and a 2-year deal. What if Man United are like, we'll give you a 1-year deal on 100 grand a week? Maguire can get better than that elsewhere. So I think ultimately, financially, we might lose Maguire for financial reasons. Not for the reasons that may be a good reason to keep him, which is his experience. But you do have to start prioritising Heaven and Yoro. They've played a lot of football for their age, and you can't just suddenly go, you're now 4th and 5th choice centre-back behind Martinez, Maguire and De Ligt. They won't hardly play in a back four. You won't. Heaven and Yoro won't play much football if Maguire stays, because they need to be 3rd and 4th centre-backs. They don't need knocking on the door. They can't be 4th and 5th. And you cannot have Yoro and Heaven just sat on a bench not playing next season. These are really, it's like being injured. You've got to play. So I can sort of see a strategy around letting Maguire go financially and using Yoro and Heaven. But is that not a financial decision? And should we not be opposed to those? I don't want Man United making financial decisions. I'm sorry. I might be in the minority here, but I don't get excited about United dropping down the table for wage spend. I probably would give Bruno 400 grand a week. And everyone's going, what are you talking about? 400 grand a week, it'll shatter the wage structure. We can't do that. We can't do that. But would you give Erling Haaland 400 grand a week if he said, I want to play for Man United? You would. You would. Would you give 400 grand a week to Mbappe if he said, I'm only playing for Man United or I'm retiring? Of course you would. So I would consider giving Bruno 400 grand a week to keep him at Man United because his numbers are incredible as a number 10. There's nobody better in the Prem. And if I get rid of him, I'm probably going to have to give the replacement 250 and buy and spend a lot of money as well. So my point is, you can let Maguire go because of the financials and you can let Bruno go because of the financials. But why as a fan should I be happy with that? I'm not. Now, maybe Maguire should go. I don't care. Maybe he should stay. I don't care. But I don't want players going because of financial reasons. How does that benefit me? I've got no shares in Man United. I don't benefit from Man United's wage bill going down. I want to see Man United making decisions that are best for the team, not the spreadsheet. Now, Casemiro, if Casemiro was on 100 grand a week, I don't think he'd be going anywhere. Whether that's right or wrong, I would probably move Casemiro on for footballing reasons. But we're moving him on for financial reasons, let's get real. So I don't agree with the financial argument. I do agree with, is it worth keeping Maguire, who will want to play, who is going to block Yoro and Heaven? Probably not. But it shouldn't come into the financials, in my opinion. Get Europe, we should keep Harry, not the best but experience, says BG. The name's Maguire. Harry Maguire, says Tony. I think he's doing it like Bond. The name's Maguire. Harry Maguire. Rather Ndidi on loan than young bloke. Priorities, says Goldio. What you do in your spare time is absolutely up to you. With Dorgu injury, are we getting to a point that the winger is becoming a priority like midfield? I know Cunha can play there, but it's not his position, says Shahin. I think that when Dorgu is fit, the wing is less of a problem. But I still think you need to bring a winger in anyway, because you've got Ahmad and Mbermo and Lacey and Ahmad. And I think you probably do need to bring another one in. Yeah. I don't think we'll bring one in January, though. I'm not an Ineos supporter, but surely financial the reason they aren't buying in January. Wilcox and Berrada might be the one pushing for the signing and Jim saying no, says Rory. Well, you might be right. However, the story that United have put out there is that if there's a player they want, they've got the money to go and do it, which is why they tried to spend 60 million on Semenyo. So they have got the money. They have got the money, Rory, but they don't want to spend it, which again is risky. Liverpool backed slot. Where are they, Mark? Carrick top four, says Generation. And signing a 40 million pound midfielder now could bring in 100 million in the summer. They're not being half decent businessmen either, says Mojo. And yeah, just on that, it's worth mentioning this as well. Where did I read this today? Just to give you an idea of what could be done in January. Manchester United's head of negotiations, Matt Hargreaves, has had numerous meetings throughout January on the feasibility of a short-term midfield option. João Gomez, Tyler Adams, Ndidi, Neves have all come up in conversation. Even Felix Nmecha is another name that was floated by a well-connected German source. So, look, there is money there because there was £60 million from Semenyo, and there are players there that if you wanted to spend some of that £60 million, you would get. Ruben Neves, you would get. And Ndidi, you would obviously get. I think you'd get João Gomez. Wolves are going to get relegated. Wolves 100% are going to get relegated. So they'll do a deal in January. So there are options there. And that's what I say. You know, you might be against those options. Some of you are against Conor Gallagher. But there are options there if you want to spend that money. Now, we can't sit there and say there isn't any money. There is. If they decide not to do one of those deals, that's a risk. Some of you might agree with that. Some of us don't. Personally, I think that João Gomez could be a player that you bring in for 30, 35 million pounds. He does a job for us as a Premier League proven midfielder for the rest of the season. And then next season is competing with your other two midfielders. And you've got João Gomez, Kobbie Mainoo, Elliot Anderson, Carlos Baleba, 4 midfielders in a season where you're going to be playing twice a week. What's wrong with that? Now, I'm not saying João Gomez is the guy, but maybe Ruben Neves is the guy. Maybe Nmecha is the guy. Maybe Tyler Adams is the guy. That's what I'm saying. I think there's this obsession with buying 2 midfielders in the summer that are going to be Elliot Anderson and Adam Wharton, but I still don't think that's enough. If you think about next season, if you've got Mainoo, Wharton and Anderson, who's going to not play? Okay, it's not going to be Wharton. Oh, Mainoo's injured. Wharton, you're playing. We haven't got a sub midfielder. I still think we're short in the midfield. I think we need 3. I think we need 3 midfielders. And one of them, in my opinion, should have been coming in January. But we decided not to do it. Good point, Mojo. Thank you so much, as always. Say the gamble pays off. How many players are we signing in the summer, says Sanchit. I think if we get Champions League football, it's got to be a big spend. It has to be a big spend. Because I look at Newcastle, Aston Villa last season, us over the last decade. There is a running theme of qualifying for the Champions League, going, yay, well done, pat yourself on the back, and then you don't qualify for the next year. I think qualifying for the Champions League is a bit of a shit celebration, really, because you might finish 4th or 5th. Ooh, well done, right? I'm very excited about United being back in the Champions League because it just feels like we're never in it. However, the real challenge is next season, because once you're in it, you don't want to drop out of it. It's horrible. How many times have we been in the Champions League and then not in it the following year? It's horrible, isn't it? I'd love to be in the Europa League now, but trust me, when you've been in the Champions League and you go to the Europa League, you're like, oh my God, this is depressing. So the big challenge is, if we get in the Champions League, we've got to stay there. And to stay there, you've got to have a bloody good squad. You have. Look at Newcastle. They're struggling. Newcastle have got a good 11, but they haven't got a squad. They haven't got a squad for Champions League and the Prem. Look at how many points they've dropped. They just can't deal with it. So if we get Champions League football, I expect a big spend, because you've got to spend big to bring the players in to compete in the Prem and the Champions League. What do you think about getting Ndiaye? Look, I watched the video with Beth this afternoon about Ndiaye. I really like him. I think he's a really good player. Be 26 in March, so it's borderline as to whether United would want to do that. I would say it's the perfect age. He reminds me of Cunha a little bit. I think he's a fantastic player, and I really, really do rate him, and I have done for about 18 months. So if United went for him, I think the profile of his age and his talent is really good. I've seen some people go, no, this, that, and the other. I really do think he's a good player. I really like Ndiaye, and it's not a player I've ever thought that United would go for, and yet on That's Football and when I'm doing the videos with Robbie, Team of the Week, I often mention Ndiaye and say, oh, another great performance from him. I do feel, though, that is he an out-and-out winger, or is he more of another number 10? Now, if he didn't have Mason Mount, then, I mean, what are we going to do with Mason Mount, by the way? That's a separate conversation. But I do like Ndiaye, and I wouldn't be opposed to getting him. It's just how much of a priority what I see as another number 10 is comparable to 2 or 3 midfielders, another wide player. We need a left back. I think he'd be his position. I would rather have a more experienced striker as well. So yeah, I think I do like him, but I'm not sure it's the right sort of signing for now, if you know what I mean. John says we need squad depth. Find the next Dorgu. Limitless Performance says, do we trust this board to spend the Champions League? Well, look, I'll paint a picture for you. Man United get Champions League football. We're all really happy. Another new kit comes out like that looks like a kit that we used to wear when we were good. They sell a load of kits. They get the Champions League money. They announce the new stadium, which is going to cost money, by the way. And then they sign, let's say they sign Elliot Anderson, a left back, and Carlos Baleba. And Bruno stays. Even with those 3 signings, I don't think we'll have a good season next year, because Elliot Anderson has played in a team that's going to, is in a relegation battle. He's not Superman. And if you think about next season, okay, we're in the Champions League. You've got a midfield that's Mainu, Anderson, Baleba. Maybe Agate stays. Bruno, Mount. You bring a left back in to cover for sure. Dorgu's back. I don't think it's got the squad depth. I don't think it's got the squad depth to play twice a week. I think in the summer we need when I say we need to spend big in the summer, I'm talking about Arsenal. Like Arsenal last year, they bought what did they do? They got a backup goalkeeper, 2 backup centre backs, 2 midfielders, a backup number 10, a backup winger, and a striker. They bought 8 players, didn't they? I think it was 8, minimum of 8 in one summer. That's the sort of summer United need. 8 players, 3 or 4 first team players and 3 bench players. And then I'd be confident about us getting back in the top 4. Because next season, if we're in the Champions League, isn't about winning the league. It's not about winning the Champions League. It's about staying in the Champions League. That's what next season will be if we can get there. But to do that, remember we're losing Casemiro. We might lose Maguire. Some of these players aren't good enough. So I think a big summer for me would be probably 8 players. Do we trust this? Anyway, good question. Limitless Performance. He's African, so another player we'd lose, says Dan Davey. Oh, well, actually, I think you're wrong. I'm sure I've heard that AFCON's going to get played in the summer from now on. That was the last January AFCON, I think. So I think it will get played. I don't know what years it will get played, but apparently that's going to happen. Casemiro repaid fee wages 3/4 of the season. Good, my opinion, says Rory. Being a part of this community is pure bliss. Thank you, everyone at the United Stand. What a lovely message, Mojo. You're a legend. Another midfielder I would go for is Camavinga. I do like Camavinga, Porf, yes. Name a bigger redemption arc than Big Harry, but he should go at the end of the season. We'll leave quality centre-back, says Ligue Aldart. Liverpool did that with Salah, and how did that work out? I think Bruno has max 2 years left at top level. How many years do you think Bruno's got left at the top level? So he's going to be 32 in September, and Shahin says Bruno's got 2 years left max. No. Have you seen Modric? No, I think Bruno, 32 season, 33 season, 34 season. He's definitely got 3 where he'll be good. And then from 35 to 36, maybe not. I'd say he's got 3 really good seasons left in him. He's not about pace. He's not about pace, and he won't lose his technical ability. So I'd say he's got 3 years. He shouldn't be going to Saudi this summer. He might want the money, and that's fine, but he shouldn't be going to Saudi in the summer. I think Bruno could go to Bayern Munich and have 3 really good years, in my opinion. Get Europe, we should keep Harry. Good stuff, BG, as well. I just want to make sure I've covered off everything on the show I wanted to cover off as well. Man United might have to pay off Andre Onana to facilitate any departure, as he's still got 2.5 years remaining on his contract. Fucking hell. Wow. I'd never thought about that with Onana. Out of sight, out of mind. But, yeah, I'd never thought about that. There's talks about him going to Inter Milan. But, yeah. I mean, look. Again, I think Ten Hag was treated quite badly when he left. And time has been quite kind towards Ten Hag. He finished in the top 4. He won 2 trophies in 2 years. Eighth place is nowhere near as bad as 15th. So I look back at Ten Hag's reign and it's not as bad. As much as the press tried to ridicule him and some of our fans, Ten Hag's era isn't actually that bad compared to some. However, there is a big but here. The letting David De Gea walk out of the club for nothing when he's just won the Golden Glove and spending £50 million on Onana. I mean, I heard at one time the police were involved. Manchester police were apparently involved. Like, it was being investigated for fraud. I'm joking. But, I mean, it is fraudulent, isn't it? It's... And we all make mistakes. Sir Alex made mistakes. But that, to me, I mean, look, I'm sure you've all got your own. But that's the one I just can't... I can never square that off. I mean, Sancho for £75 million is a flop and a massive waste of money, and when you add it all up, it's in excess of £100 million that we've wasted on Sancho. But I thought Sancho was worth a punt. I didn't know his personality, and I didn't know what he was going to do. But the De Gea thing, there was a cult of people that wanted De Gea gone. Remember, the media were always scrutinising De Gea, and there was people in this fan base, not naming any names, there was people in this channel that wanted De Gea gone. It was all about the ball-playing goalkeeper, wasn't it? Never heard such bollocks in all my life. But, look, that's not what the point is. I could never get my head around David De Gea at 31 or 30, just won the Golden Glove. So, as a goalkeeper, he's in his prime. You let him go for nothing, and then you spend £50 million on Onana. It is... Tell me a worse deal than that. Yeah, letting Pogba go for free and buying him back for 89 million, then letting him go for free. Pretty crap. Sanchez, pretty crap. Di Maria, pretty crap. There's plenty of crap transfers, but that one, letting arguably the best goalkeeper in the Premier League go for free in his prime to spend £50 million on Onana. I mean, unbelievable. Who's the worst manager since Sir Alex? I'd say Moyes, says Rory. Well, in their own way, it's a different shade of shit, isn't it? But I'm biased. I couldn't stand Moyes as Man United manager. I knew he was going to mess up. I knew he was going to fail. And he was well out of his depth. But, yeah, it would have to be Moyes, wouldn't it? Hope you're well and had a good day, Mark. United stands a great show, says Daniel. It's been brilliant. I've just got to say, put Lacey on the right, Ahmad on the left, says Chris Jackson. Play Sesko, have Ahmad play left wing, keep Cunha fresh, says John. A few people have said, who's the mystery player? Well, we don't know. We don't know. That's why we've got a player we don't know who it is on the thumbnail. It's like late deal, and if you listen to the show, you'll understand what it's all about. Apparently, Man United are getting twitchy about gambling on not bringing anybody in, and it might mess up the Champions League. So that's why it's a mystery. I think it's likely to be Ndiaye. I hope it's someone like Ruben Neves, but it won't be. It won't. You know why it won't be Ruben Neves? Because his wage and age and transfer fee, they just won't do it. And Ndiaye would be a loan deal, wouldn't it? Although his wage, you know what? Actually, good point. And Ndiaye's wages will be big because he's in Turkey, and in Turkey, Osimhen. Somebody said this, so it might not be accurate, but apparently Osimhen, even if Osimhen's on 250 grand a week in Turkey, no, that doesn't work. Basically, what Osimhen takes home in Turkey because of their tax, he'd have to be on 450 grand a week here to get it. He's not on 450 grand a week in Turkey, but because the tax is so low, to pay Osimhen what he's being paid in Turkey, you'd have to pay him 450 grand a week because the tax comes off. So Ndiaye might be quite expensive, depending on what he's on. And I don't know whether we've got that info. There's always a way. He's on 4 million euros per season, which is about 75 grand a week, isn't it? But that won't be what we have to pay him. That'll be what he's getting after tax. You see, so yeah, it's probably going to cost over 100 grand a week for us. But then again, Turkey might pay some of his wages, I suppose. Second goalkeeper, second left back, right back, two centre midfielders, left winger, and bring back Collier, says Matt. My left back options are Kadioglu, Hall, Cucurella, Porro, or Dumfries for right back. I don't mind any of them left backs. I mean, we won't get Cucurella. David Pearce says, exactly, Mark. Let Ten Hag let De Gea go, and he also stopped playing the right tight defence that earned him a good first season. Well, I've said it to you before, and I know it's a fact. Letting De Gea go was the beginning of the end for Ten Hag. His first season, the players were really happy. They won a trophy. They got into Europe. But how he treated De Gea, it pissed off a lot of players, and they lost a lot of faith in Ten Hag. They didn't like the way De Gea was treated, and they didn't agree with the decision either. And it caused Ten Hag huge issues. Okay, fantastic show tonight. I've absolutely loved it. Hope you have as well. Thank you for all the likes on the video. Thank you for all the super chats. Welcome to the new members. Thank you everyone in the live chat. Thank you to all the moderators as usual. We are back Wednesday tomorrow, isn't it? So not long until we're preparing for Fulham. Can't wait. But we'll be back on the 10 o'clock show tomorrow morning as well. I'm hoping, if you enjoyed Cooking with Goldbridge, by the way, I'm hoping to get another episode out tomorrow of another classic series and bring Matt back. But we'll see what the weather's like tomorrow because it's been raining a lot. Do you think it's spin about a late signing? No, I genuinely actually think it's true. I think they are shitting themselves. I think they've finally woken up and realised, and the Dorgu injury has probably magnified it. I think they've realised that just because we play one game a week doesn't mean we won't get injuries. De Ligt's been out for 3 months. Maguire was out for 2 months. Dorgu's going to be out for 3 months. Bruno was out for 2 weeks. So I think they've shit themselves late and gone, if we get a few injuries, especially in the midfield, we're going to drop points. And if we drop points, do we open up the door for other people? I don't think Liverpool are going to have a renaissance, which is probably going to help, but hopefully we'll do anything. Stay safe, everyone. Don't forget to check out Boohoo Man. I'm wearing the hoodie, and I'll speak to you all later. Take care.